Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jacqueline Proper. Today we are talking about why you should quit therapy. Now, before people come for me, I do have friends that are therapists. I actually have clients that are therapists, and I myself was in therapy for over 20 years. So I just want to start with this disclaimer that this isn't necessarily for everyone. This is for you if you've been in therapy for quite a long time and you don't feel like you're making progress. I wanted to make this episode because I think people put therapy up on this pedestal as like, oh, if you really care about your self-growth, you need to be in therapy. I completely disagree. In this episode, I'm going to talk about why, what I think you should do instead. And this is based on my own experience, but also on the experience of many clients that I work with. So I will suggest therapy to people sometimes, and it's usually if they are having difficulty being emotionally stable, meaning that they cannot get through the day, they can't go to work, they can't fulfill their obligations because they are feeling very bogged down emotionally. I also think traditional therapy can be beneficial, especially for people with attachment trauma, because holding that space with somebody for an extended period of time, being in a container of safety with somebody to see you, witness you, and be there to hold your emotional space can be very beneficial. And obviously it depends on the therapist and their methods and what you're working on. But what I have found, especially with people that come to me that have done a lot of this work, and especially if you have any early life developmental trauma, complex PTSD, the traditional forms of therapy like talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy is actually not helpful for you. And I had to learn this the hard way. Like I said, I was in therapy for 20 years and I always just had a therapist because I thought I always would need a therapist because therapy was really good for me, and I was in the cult of therapy and continuously just rehashing my past over and over and over again. And at a certain point, things got worse. And this is because I was already dealing with lots of complex trauma, shame, things like this, and just rehashing all the things that were wrong with me and all of the traumatic events that had happened, and always relating whatever problem I had back to my original traumas. It started to feel more restrictive than expansive. And don't get me wrong, I had a couple therapists sprinkled throughout my journey that really helped me make a big breakthrough. I also had therapists that helped me start to understand what was going on in my body. So there are therapists out there that will intuit what's going on and be able to take you down different roads. But some therapists will just go based on their educational model. They're not really taking you through a lived experience. They don't have any lived wisdom for your particular experience. So they're really playing things by the book. And if you have early life trauma, complex PTSD, talking over and over and over about your trauma is not helping you. In fact, it could be harming you. So if you're somebody that's been like, I've been in therapy a really long time and I'm hitting a plateau and I don't feel like I'm growing, and I feel like the same things keep coming up over and over and over again, it might be time to quit therapy. So what should you do instead? Other modalities you should be looking into is shadow work, which is what I help my clients through. EMDR, or somatic experiencing. Generally, if you're at a place where you are knowing better but not doing better, there is something going on with your unconscious mind or your nervous system. And no amount of talk therapy is going to solve that for you. So if you're still not feeling your best and you're still not feeling aligned and you're still feeling like there's work to do and you feel like, well, if I just keep going to therapy, understand that the little nudge that you're getting that's saying this is not working is correct. Because again, therapy very much, I feel like, at least in my experience and a lot of other people's experiences that I have spoken with, is that they're focusing a lot on the past and not necessarily the present moment. And I know specifically for me, and again, clients that I've worked with, this model of let's keep talking about your mother, let's keep talking about your childhood trauma, let's keep talking about these abuses that you had, it really reinforces shadow and shame. If you want to move forward in life, you do not need to be continuously focusing on your childhood, your past, or your trauma. You have permission to move forward. You can tell I'm like really passionate about this topic because I truly was in the cult of therapy for such a long time and it held me back. Literally, just a few months of shadow work ripped open a completely new perspective of who I was, and within 3 years completely changed me at an identity level and completely changed my life. And I see it happen too with my clients. People come to me and they have all of these knowings, all of these connections as to where their problems come from, and they can really point back to their childhood. They can really point back to their trauma. They've done so much freaking work, and they're at a standstill in their progression because the unconscious mind and the somatic piece has not yet been explored. So can you find therapists that work on the unconscious mind and shadow work? Yes, they're called Jungian analysts. Can you find therapists that specialize in things like EMDR or somatic experiencing? Yes, absolutely. I'm a big proponent for coaching just because coaches are taking you through a process that they themselves went through. And usually you pick a coach because you resonate with their personal experience. Like they have been on a similar journey that you are on, or they are somewhere where you aspire to be. A lot of people come to me because they say, I really resonate with what you said. I can see that you've really done your work. I feel like the way you say stuff just makes sense to me. I can tell by your experience that you're not going to judge me for the things that I feel shame over. And that's the most important thing when you are picking any practitioner, okay? Whether it's your therapist, whether it's your coach, whether it's any other kind of healing arts person that you want to work with, know their story, know who they are. Do you feel resonance with them? That will tell you a lot more on whether or not they can help you versus whatever credentials they might have. Shadow work, in my opinion, from my experience, from the experience of the people that I work with, is the quickest way to make huge strides towards who you want to be. And this is because we're doing exercises that's completely bypassing the conscious mind, bypassing the ego, and getting straight to the source of your patterns. So anyways, if you resonated with anything I said and you think it might make sense to work with me, I always offer free one-on-one alignment sessions. I'm also offering some one-off promotions only for December that go outside of my normal coaching containers just to make the work a little bit accessible for folks that are in the winter time really doing some reflection and saying, you know what, I want next year to be different. I want next year to be better. The vibe working with me is you have permission to completely let go of your past and move forward with your life. We're bringing shame to the surface and we're saying goodbye to it. We're taking strides away from your conditioning and your early life trauma and into a new reality. If that sounds good to you and you're ready for something different, book that call. I'll put the link in the show notes. Break up with your therapist. It's time. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Also, if you have been enjoying my work, please make sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, do all of the things so that this podcast can reach more people. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next time.